Hi Visual Arts families, I'm sorry I could not be here today. I am actually at rehearsal right now with one of the other groups that I work with. If you don't know, I work outside of Stivers. I am a choreographer for some local color guards. So they have rehearsal tonight, so I have to go with them. But I'm sorry I couldn't be here with you. I wanted to make sure you had something to go off of so that way you knew a little bit more about me, about what's going on in visual arts this year. We have some cool new things that I'm excited to try. So a little bit about me. My name is Mr. Matson. I'm one of the 3 visual arts directors we have here. The other ones are Miss Whips and Miss Anderson. I have been in the building for 4 years now as a visual arts director. I've been in the district for 5 years. I used to teach at another school and I came over here. Outside of school, like I said, I'm a color guard director, designer, and choreographer. So I am very, very busy. I'm also working on my master's degree. So that's keeping me quite busy outside of class, but I still get to be here every day, which is nice, thankfully, because of those things. I graduated from Wright State in 2019 with a BFA in fine art. My specialty is in printmaking, and then right away I started teaching after that. So I have always wanted to be an art teacher. I'm excited to be an art teacher. I love being here with these students. They are all so talented and wonderful, so I love getting to spend time with them. Yesterday and today, your students should have received a syllabus. It's on a colored piece of paper, looks something like this. They are all color coded by class, just so that way I can keep organized. But your student should have one. They should have asked you to fill out the back side of that. If they haven't, make sure you do that. It's gonna give me your contact information, so that way I can reach out to you if I need to. It's also gonna ask how you want me to reach out to you, so that way we are all on the same page and we can communicate pretty effectively. So that should be coming home. I'll go over a little bit of this with you in this video here in just a second. The other thing that just went home was a emergency medical form. I know in the past, sometimes those get lost and we have to fill them out a couple times throughout the year. Hopefully me doing this now prevents that from happening, because then I will have them all. I know exactly where they are. If somebody needs them in the building, I can say, don't worry, I have it, here you go. So my fingers crossed, thought process is that this will make it easier on you, even though you have to fill out 2 at the beginning of the year. At least we'll know where one is, so we don't have to go tracking one down later. So, like I said, went home with syllabus and emergency medical form. So make sure that your student has given those to you. I know sometimes they forget, so make sure they have at least shown those to you by the end of the day today. I'm gonna run through the syllabus just really quickly in case you haven't seen it yet. Syllabus, the main thing that I'm going to go over is like studio expectations. It outlines what each course does. So if you look at the VA1 syllabus, it's going to have a list of things that they'll do. It'll be different from VA1 to VA4, things like that. So the first thing I want to go over is studio expectations. So studio expectations, they're pretty straightforward. Your kids have been in school before. They know how things work around here. I have 3 main ones that I go off of. Number 1, respect your peers. So we're going to be kind, courteous, and helpful towards each other. Number 2, respect the studio. We're going to clean up. We're not going to use materials for unintended purposes. This is our space that we get to work in, so we want to make sure that we're keeping it as nice as we can. And then number 3 is not talking while somebody is presenting. A lot of different people present throughout the year. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's them, sometimes it's a guest. So I just ask that nobody's talking while they are talking. Usually I don't really have problems with that, so that's really nice. The kind of outline of if expectations are not met, the first offense, it's a warning. Second offense, I have a chat with them, usually by my desk outside. I pull them off to a corner, we have a chat. And then the third offense is a phone call home or a text home or an email home, whatever you choose for me to reach out to you with. I really don't have to do that often. I think in the 4 years I've been here, I've had to do it maybe 10 times. So, and that's pretty good for 3 entire school years. So it's going well. So I trust that your students will be just fine. One thing for you to be aware of, and so you can help me support your students, is that they do have work that they have to do outside of class. They will have homework. A lot of as we get into VA 1, 2, 3, and 4, they will have things that they have to take home and work on because they didn't finish. So just be aware, if they are not working on visual arts at least 1 or 2 nights throughout the week, something's off, because they definitely had homework that they needed to do. So I would check in with them and see what's going on. I am going to try my best to make sure that I'm communicating if there are multiple weeks where homework's not getting turned in. I understand that every one-off you're not going to get done. Cool. But making sure that we are working on things outside of class. That way we can keep that practice up to date. With homework specifically, homework is assigned on Monday and it is due on Friday. So they have 4 days to do it. So I often get the excuse from Thursday night, I had something to do last night. That's great, you had 3 other days to do it, so it's still going to be late. So make sure that homework is getting done. That is something that will add up quickly. That is the thing that kind of takes students from being able to get an A to being forced to get a B or C because they just didn't do their homework. Their projects might have been fantastic, but they didn't do their homework, so they can't get an A. So I hate seeing that because I have really talented students, but I am not going to let that slide because we got to make sure we're staying up to date on that practice because that practice is what makes us go from good to great. Some deadlines. Deadlines are very important in visual arts. We have lots of things to cover in the curriculum, so we have to make sure that projects are getting turned in when they're supposed to be turned in. This year, for the first year ever, because of some issues that we had in the past, I'm going to have to do points off for missing work. So we're going to do a 10-point deduction if it's late. So if it's late, you can't get an A. With that, there are caveats, obviously. I'm not a monster. I understand that things come up. So if students are communicating with me about needing an extension, I will grant those to them. It's students who aren't communicating and just not turning it in. That's when we're going to get the point deduction because I don't know why it's late and it's late, so I can't really help you. So as long as your students are communicating with me, totally fine to move things around for them. I'm totally fine to be adaptable if I'm being communicated with. If things are not being communicated, it's hard for me to help them. So as long as I am being told what's going on, I can help them, and I'm more than happy to. For grades are posted in Hack. I grade everything in Google Classroom, so feedback is going to be in Google Classroom. The rubrics will be in Google Classroom, so if you're confused about a grade, you can go in there. Sometimes the wrong buttons get pushed, so if something looks wrong, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll check it, because I make mistakes. I'm human, it happens. But I'm more than happy to fix those if we catch them. I usually try to, at the end of the quarter when I'm doing everything, go through and double check. So I usually move a couple things around. So that hasn't really been a problem. But I am available if you need me to look at something. I do offer resubmissions. Really, that's a high school thing. Middle schoolers don't tend to need resubmissions. So I have 4 dates that resubmissions are due. And these are also the dates that I close my grade book for the quarter. So everything is due on resubmission day. So first quarter is October 6th. So October 6th is going to be my closing the gradebook day. Second quarter is December 15th. Third quarter is March 9th, and fourth quarter is May 18th. So those are the days that I'll be closing the gradebook. It's just too much for me if I leave the gradebook open until Thursday and I'm still getting projects. In order for me to give effective and thorough feedback, I have to have time to do that. So we have to close it on Monday, so I have time to grade those. The thing you're probably looking for is what do you need to get for your student for this class? There's a material list. The biggest thing that I need is a new sketchbook. They all have to have a sketchbook that's just for this class. We're trying to impress upon them that there's a difference between your personal sketchbook and your sketchbook for school. So make sure that they have their sketchbook for school that's just for school. It should be that 7x10 or bigger mixed media sketchbook. They've all had them before, unless they are brand new to the school. I have a couple of students who are brand new, so if is something you're having a hard time finding, we do offer some kits that you can purchase through the school. Unfortunately, they're on back order right now, so they will be here shortly. When we get them, I will make sure that I send notifications home to students who may potentially want one of those kits. They will be one of the kits is $27, one of the kits is $25. The $27 kit just has a different set of pencils. It has a stronger case, so they're less likely to be lost. So we decided to go for the $2 extra, so that way we could make sure that we had pencils all year, because I know that was an issue for some of our students last year, is that they were just losing pencils. So they will have that with the kit if they choose to purchase that. If they have their own set of sketching pencils, that's fantastic. Please make sure that they have sketching pencils and not mechanical pencils for this class. I appreciate a mechanical pencil. I know some students love to draw with mechanical pencils. There's some artists that love to draw with mechanical pencils, but for this class and the techniques that we use, mechanical pencils are not great. So please make sure that your students have drawing pencils. Even a wooden #2 Ticonderoga works fine. That will work for this class. If they need an H or something deeper or something lighter, I have those that they can borrow if they need to, but it is so much easier if every student has their own set, because the last thing your student wants to do is have to come grab a pencil every 5 minutes when they have to switch. So a sketching set of pencils is really helpful for everybody. So we gotta make sure we have those. Other things, eraser, a ruler, a set of watercolors, and then a new thing this year that I put on here is I'm recommending a cloth portfolio. A cloth portfolio is a portfolio. It is just a carrying case for their artwork, basically. But when it's time to take stuff home, it's very hard to take home your artwork and not damage it unless you have one of those portfolios. I have a couple here that I will lend out throughout the school year, but they're made of paper, they're not as strong, and they tend to go missing. So I really recommend that you get your student a cloth portfolio, get their name put on it so you know exactly whose is whose. Then they can use that to transport their artwork. It is something that they will use for a very long time. If they get it in 9th grade, they will use it all the way to their senior year. I still have my portfolio from my senior year of high school, and that was 10 years ago. So I'm still using it. I really urge you to get it. They shouldn't be too crazy expensive. Usually about between 20 and 30 bucks, depending on the size of portfolio you get. I recommended an 18 by 24 that should fit most of the projects that we do in this class. So an 18 by 24 cloth portfolio is recommended. I urge you to get one for your student if you can. If not, we have ways to help them, so don't worry too much about that. Just if you are able, I would recommend that. Next, phones. No phones, you know that. This year, I'm going to be a lot stricter. So if you have a phone, I'm gonna have to confiscate it. Phones are available for parent pickup after the school day. And then communication, how I'm gonna be communicating home with you. I'm not going to use the Talking Points app like I did last year. I'm just gonna stick with Parent Square because that's what everybody has anyway. So I'm going to adapt and figure out how to make that work. And it's a little way to Talking Points. That way you don't have to download another app and sign in. So trying to make it a little bit easier on you guys. That way we still have a way to talk to each other if we need to. So that covers everything in the syllabus. There's a couple of other things I want to talk about. The first is some new leadership opportunities in the visual arts this year. So I'm very excited to start this new leadership program. If you think your student is a good potential leader, I urge you to make sure that they picked up an application. So this year we are going to do studio managers for each class period. So that is like basically the captain of the class. They're going to be walking around every so often, helping me do things. They're going to be kind of the driving force for that class. So somebody who is energetic, who's enthusiastic, who is on board for the visual arts program, that's who we're looking for to be in those leadership positions. I did get a bunch of people taking applications yesterday. I think I already had 4 or 5 turned in, which is really cool. But if your student is somebody who you think has great leadership potential, please urge them to pick up an application. I have extra. Those are due next Friday, so on the 22nd. There is a small interview process that I will do on the 25th, and then from there, we'll determine who is going to be on that leadership team that we'll use in class. We also have opportunities, if your student doesn't necessarily make the studio manager, we have other opportunities for student leadership in the classroom this year. We're gonna have table assistants, so that's kind of the next step down. If your student did not make the main leadership, they still have those opportunities to grow and learn. We will also do monthly leadership meetings. So that is something that even if maybe your student didn't make leadership, they're interested, they could attend those to kind of learn how to be a stronger leader in the arts specifically. I'm very excited to get that program started. It's something that I've done in my coaching life my entire career. It's worked really, really well. I've had time to develop some pretty cool leadership lessons and figuring out how to get students to be enthusiastic about being leaders, even though it can be kind of intimidating. So it's going to be a really cool program. I'm excited to get that started. We're piloting it in just my classes this year, and hopefully we'll take it to the whole magnet in the next couple of years. So that's exciting. I'm excited to get started on that. I think that covers pretty much everything that you would need to know. If for some reason there's something I didn't touch on that you have questions about, please feel free to shoot me an email, talk to me on that Parent Square app. I'd be happy to answer questions. I have open studio times available for your students every day during lunch and then after school as well for high school. Middle school does not have an after school session. That is something that I know is a little different, but they usually don't need the open studio time as much as everybody else. So open studio, if your student needs it, that's a good way to help boost grades, things like that. Yeah. So I think that covers it, and have a great day, and I will hopefully see you soon.